Hey guys, Lady Lee here from Lady Lee's home. I shared my new raised bed garden with you in a different video. I will link to it below if you didn't get to watch that one. And now it's time to set up drip irrigation for this garden. I still have a couple of stone beds that I want to make, and I didn't get to that yet, but the 5 raised beds that are here really need some drip irrigation because there's already baby plants living in them, and I do not want to need to irrigate by hand. So today I'm going to set the drip irrigation, and I thought I'll take you with me. I know that drip irrigation can be a little intimidating to some people, but actually when you start playing with it, it's very simple, and it's kind of like Legos for adults or something like that. It's really fun. And it saves a ton of time in the garden. The plants love this type of irrigation too. I get all of my irrigation supplies from Berry Hill Irrigation, which they are based in Virginia. We're so lucky to have them. They're about maybe 35 minutes away from here, and they're a great farm equipment company to have around. And the best thing, or the thing that I love about them the most, is that they're really helpful as far as, all of these little parts. Sometimes it's kind of hard to know what need to go where, or design the whole system. And there are a lot of really knowledgeable people there that really know what they're doing, and will just give you so much of their time to just sit down and design the system, and then they usually have all the parts to make that system work. I came over there this week with this plan, and ended up with this one, so they kind of helped me change everything around so the parts are everything is making sense, and everything is going to work together the best and most efficient way. So here's the plan. This bed that you see over here behind me, it kind of wraps around half of the house. It already has its own irrigation. There's a 1/2-inch poly tubing that runs in this bed, and what I am going to do is basically connect the 1/2-inch poly from this bed to run over to these beds over here. So we have some digging to do. I need to get a couple of lines under this edging, which hopefully is not going to be too much of a pain. And as I do it, I'll just try to kind of film it close up so you can see all the parts. Basically, I'm taking a 1/2-inch poly over here and then running it over each of the beds, and you'll see how it's all come together once I put it in. And then we have the drip tape, which is this thing that connects to the 1/2-inch poly, and we'll put 3 of those in each bed, or 2 of those in each bed, to irrigate the bed. Okay, so let's start. It's getting late in the day, so hopefully I'll finish it today. If not, but let's just start and see where we're going with this. So the first thing that I am going to do here is split the existing 1/2-inch poly that runs in the bed that wraps around the house, and I'm going to use a T connector to connect the new 1/2-inch poly that will run into the new garden. Now I need to dig a little trench here and basically take this 1/2-inch poly towards the beds of the new garden. Basically going to move the pea gravel out of the way, and then just dig a little trench. I want the 1/2-inch poly to be buried in the ground, but I don't need it too deep. I do want it easy to access and replace if I ever need to replace it, so it doesn't have to be too deep, but just enough so when we step there we don't ruin anything. Now that the poly is at the edge of the bed, I'm just going to use a bunch of, I think they're called elbow connectors, to basically change its direction. So I'm taking it from the ground up, over and across the garden bed, and then back in the ground, and then over and across the next bed, and then back down to the ground, and then over and across the other bed, and so on, basically changing the direction of the 1/2-inch poly to go from one bed to another and across, on top and across each of the beds. All along before too, you saw me, I'm using these landscaping staples or agricultural staples, which I also get a big box of them from Berry Hill, to hold the 1/2-inch poly in place. This is the last bed for this area, but I am working on another bed, a smaller one right next to it that is not ready yet. So in order to make sure that I have a way to extend the irrigation later when the other bed is ready, I am leaving this end for me to kind of work with later. To close it so the water don't just run out of there, there's this little kind of figure 8 plastic thingy, and it's basically kind of like 2 rings connected to each other, and you put one of them on the end on the poly, and then fold the poly and insert it into the other ring, and it holds the end so it does not leak. Last thing to do here is to connect the drip tape into the 1/2 inch poly on each bed, and each of my 2 lines that will be installed in each bed have its own valve, so I can close and open the water. If one bed is empty and there's nothing in it, then I just close the valve of the drip tape for this bed so I don't irrigate nothing or irrigate weeds. I poke a hole in the 1/2 inch poly and push this valve into the hole, and then at the end there is an end cap that just screws on the drip tape, and I use landscape staple to hold it to the ground. That's it for this project. Irrigation for this garden, this new garden, is done. Make sure that you might need a pressure regulator to regulate the pressure here so your lines don't explode. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments. I'll be happy to help as much as I can. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.